The Democrat Party is trying to shred our Constitution, tear down our history, erase the nation's borders. They don't want to have any borders, but they want to blame all of us. And I'll tell you what we've done is we've kept our country solid and grounded. That's what we're doing. We're doing a very important service. We're performing a very, very important service for the future of our country.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we take a look at the latest new Q posts, including Q's telling us about not only how you have this incredible deception and con going on in California, where you have the Democrat Party trying to suppress Republicans from even being able to participate in the vote. We also have a silent war going on that has been happening since President Trump took office. So we're going to talk a lot about that and a bunch of other breaking news stories. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check it out. Hi, my name is Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know the drill. Thank you if you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified as soon as we get new videos posted here. We're just going to jump right into it. The first Q post, we left off at Q post 3767. We're picking up at 3768. And the first thing Q says here is, no Republican option in California when registering to vote. Welcome to the Democrat Party con. Q. And in the very next post here, we get a very good idea of what Q's referring to, giving us a repost of the post we just read and this picture, which I guess didn't post the first time. But Q wants us to take a look at it. Obviously, it shows the ballot in California that's being sent out to voters to register to vote. Now, you have to register with a party if you want to vote in their primary, but it seems you only can pick between the American Independent Party, the Democrat Party, and the Libertarian Party. Well, we're going to get into what that really means in a little bit, but it seems that they are purposefully making it harder for Republicans to register to vote in the state of California, which is all, I mean, it makes perfect sense, but Q's pointing it out, saying this is a major part of the Democrat Party con. And if you look at California in particular, we've talked about Nancy Pelosi's district, Adam Schiff's district. You have the whole state basically crumbling under its own corruption and feckless ineptitude. But with that, obviously, that's what Q is wanting us to take a look at. The next one here gives these two Twitter posts. First, this one from this Sean Phillip Hall on Twitter, lowest ranked anon, saying, voters being disenfranchised in Shasta County, California, hashtag voter fraud. And this is addressed to all the GOP leaders. But here you go. Read the other ballots. I mean, they're sending them out in all across the state of California. It is literally excluding the Republican Party from registering to vote. I mean, this is the kind of sick and disgusting perversion of our electoral system that we're calling out on the Democrat side, because they get in control and then they just game the system in order to disenfranchise as many voters as they humanly can. And you think about it and you kind of understand exactly what we're up against. We're not just up against corrupt and evil people. We're up against people who want to destroy this country and take it over for if they have one of two choices, right? I should say. They either want to take over control of this country wholly with no opposition, or they'll destroy it in the process. That's their agenda. And that's what we're up against. And they've weaponized the fake news. They've weaponized big tech in Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They've weaponized half of Congress, and they're doing it in order to take full control of this country. And it is disgusting, and it's antithetical to what our founding principles really are. And it's going to lead to something much worse, in my opinion, if we don't call this out and have a stop, put a stop to it. I mean, it's beyond anything I've ever seen in my life. The next one here, obviously, is Q pointing us as Eat Crow Democrats, saying, my sister got this in hashtag California, no mention of Republicans, so this is how California cheats. Yeah, real Donald Trump is the one trying to cheat in 2020. You Demo-rats are so stupid. I hope there's never another Demo-rat elected again. Walk away. So again, another example of the ballot here, where it gives you the Democrat Party, the Independent Party, Libertarian, or nonpartisan. You don't get a Republican choice. That's because these people are criminals. And the only way they can control or can maintain power, I should say, is by cheating the system, by gaming it to disenfranchise an entire half of the country so that they can make us second-class citizens and then take control, right? That seems reasonable, I'm sure. Said no one ever. The Democrat Party election interference, Democrat Party corruption, Q. So Q's saying it right there. Is this an example of party election interference and corruption? Yeah, I think it is. So next here is this Twitter post by this Anon Monkey man saying, so Russia didn't hack the server. And let's watch. This is a clip from Lou Dobbs, which talks about everything that we talked about yesterday with Seth Rich and the DNC servers, and how if you really look at the facts surrounding it, you look at what Julian Assange came out and said, you look at the data analysis of the actual transfer, where the files were transferred at such a high rate of speed. It couldn't have been Guccifer in Eastern Europe. It had to have been somebody sticking a jump drive into their mainframe and downloading it, because that's the only way you could achieve those speeds. Well, here, watch. Let's listen to Lou Dobbs talk about this.
Of DNC staffer Seth Rich, who was murdered last summer. A federal investigator telling Fox News that an FBI forensic report of Rich's computer showed he made contact with WikiLeaks through a former reporter and London-based WikiLeaks director, Gavin McFadden. The investigator told Fox News Rich provided McFadden with more than 44,000 emails, nearly 18,000 attachments. Rich was murdered near his D.C. home on the morning of July 10th. But his wallet, his cell phone, his watch not taken. WikiLeaks 12 days later published internal emails showing top DNC officials trading ideas on how to hurt Senator Bernie Sanders at the polls, and those emails resulting in the resignation of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was the chair of the DNC, and the DNC's 3 top officials, because of the obvious conclusion portrayed in those emails between the DNC.
So there you heard Lou Dobbs putting it all together. I mean, you have sources coming out saying Seth Rich was the one who leaked the information. Then he was, just mysteriously murdered for no reason. Wasn't a robbery. 4 a.m. walking down the street in Washington, D.C., shot. And then you also, what Lou didn't touch on is just after that, you had 2 MS-13 gang members mysteriously killed for no apparent reason. And they may have been the ones who pulled off the hit. You know, you keep washing your hands of the people who do the dirty work, right? So that's where we're at. Lou Dobbs putting it all together, connecting it to the firing of the resignation removal of Debbie Wasserman Schultz in the Democratic Party after it exposed the fact that they gamed the system against Bernie, which obviously we can see now what was happening then. So Russia didn't hack the server. So Seth Rich took it. So Seth Rich leaked it. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz was embarrassed. She lost her position, and then something really bad happened to Seth Rich. You guys can connect the dots for yourself. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm just going to point to this and say we need to look at it closer. But Q says, do you believe in coincidences? The truth will be told, Q. Hopefully. I really pray that, because we have to expose this evil, this criminal corruption that exists within our government and that has taken over. I mean, I feel like I talk in circles around this stuff a lot of the time because it's so disgusting and evil that nobody's even picking up on it, and it's terrible. But I digress, and we'll get into the next post. 3772 here is an Anon posting these screenshots. First of all, it's a Twitter account where it says, okay, this is nuts. I received this in the mail. Note on the outside that there is no choice to pick Republican, but open it up and, oh, look, there it is. This is corrupt California government, and this is addressed to Tom Fitton over at Judicial Watch. But you can see here, if you just want to sign it and send it back real quick, just by blotting in the little box there, you can pick the Democrat Party or Libertarian or American Independent. But if you really want to be registered as a Republican, oh, guess what? You're going to have to go through a whole bunch of other steps to get it done. The next picture is this one right here, showing kind of exactly what we're talking about, the exact same thing we just looked at. And then, of course, here on the back end, inside the actual envelope itself, it tells you how to become a Republican registered voter, except it's not as simple as the other process, right? For a reason. I think that's definitely for a reason. So that's what Q's pointing us to. And then Q says, the point being, many Republicans are confused regarding and must go through additional hoops in order to vote regarding Republican Party registration. Percentage not mailed, percentage supposedly lost, percentage delayed, percentage returned Democrat unchanged. Q. And that's another question you have to ask yourself, right? We've actually had multiple reports of these activists working inside of our, election offices who get this information, or even in the post office, right? Who get the information, somehow open it or see what it is, and then it just magically disappears, never to be seen again, or it gets delayed so that they miss the deadline so that they can't register, or it gets completely somehow unchanged at all. These people are so corrupt, and they've infiltrated every major organization associated with our country's, democracy, our democratic republic, that you have to really understand how prevalent and how deep this actually all goes. And I pray every day that President Trump is exposing this and that we somehow find justice for all of the criminal corruption that has been taking place within our government, especially when it comes to election fraud and abuse. And this is only going to get bigger as we come into the 2020 election, in my humble opinion. Now, the next one here just says, follow the guide, Q. And it's this one that I pulled up by accident earlier, but it says 1 of 22. Now, remember, what's that referring to? It's referring to the, 22 instances of high treason or criminal corruption against the President of the United States, right? The DNC breach, the dossier, DNC, Seth Rich, WikiLeaks, Hussein, DNI director, Clown director, Classified 1 through 12, Google, CrowdStrike, DNC. Don't forget, CrowdStrike got $100 million from Google, right? The people we're exposing, we're all in it together. That's why they're trying to suppress this content on YouTube, because we're exposing the fact that they were the ones funding the illegal operation to overthrow the President of the United States. Google directly funded CrowdStrike, who went and covered up the crimes that were being committed by the DNC. And then tried to blame it on Russia to start World War III. You know why? Because these people are sick and they're evil. And that's really what we're up against. Seth Rich, 187, MS-13, 2, 187. That's what I was just talking about. The 2 MS-13 thugs who were killed shortly after. You imagine this. You hire somebody to go do a hit, hypothetically. Then, once they do the hit, you don't want to leave loose ends because they know that you hired them to do the hit. So then you hire another hitman to take care of those hitmen. Hypothetically, it's disgusting. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, was she involved? I don't know. I'm asking the question. FBI, DOJ assistance, insurance, that's all Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Baker, Bruce Orr, the whole 9 yards. All the people who set up this hoax to not only to try to unseat President Trump, but then also to act as a blockade, right? To keep the American people from investigating their crimes. The crimes that they've committed in mass for decades. It's disgusting. Then it gives the pyramid, I think, here, going down. Hussein, HRC, Loretta Lynch, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok. And then, of course, it goes into all of these other people. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, all these different classified people who are helping out and supporting this fraud, not only on the courts, but also on the American people at large. British intelligence played a role. You know that we went to the Five Eyes and we had them basically run surveillance on President Trump so that they wouldn't have to technically break our laws or in any case is, in my opinion, an obvious violation of the intent of the law regardless, right? And you just keep going down the list and it gets worse and worse and worse. HRC was paying them. The DNC was paying them all. Classified 1 through 4 was paying. I wonder who they could be. Steele, Podesta, Holder, Relay, speculation on Russia. Classified 1 through 9, U.S. Senate No Name, U.S. Senate Class 1, U.S. Senate Class 2. These are the people who are formulating it. Guess what? You know the reports coming out now that are confirming the fact that No Name, McCain's office, was the one pushing the dossier when it was debunked otherwise. They were pushing it back into the narrative, trying to get it into the FBI and the DOJ so that they could use it against President Trump. And we're going to talk about why in a second, as we talked about briefly here before. But look, you guys can see right here. It says, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, Hussein, FISA 2. How many FISAs did they pull out against President Trump? Did Hussein get it in his presidential daily briefing? Yes, he did. U.S. Senate no name, news shopping, giving the dossier to BuzzFeed to publish public narrative so that they could go out and literally wage a propaganda campaign and using fake information against President Trump. It's disgusting. Stage set future prevent removal operation. Which is exactly what we're seeing now. Ramifications, U.S. intel. What are the ramifications if the U.S. intelligence legally spied on presidential candidates and president-elect and Republicans in Congress and the Senate, news-friendly, etc.? Q. Well, you guys can see for yourself. This is a guide to everything that we're covering here, and Q gave it to us, back in 2017, December. So over 2 years ago, Q told us everything that was going to happen. You know, there's a reason why Q says we have so much more than we know, because we truly do, and it's exemplified right here. So with that, you go back over here and then read the next final post from Q, which is just telling about everything. It says, if Russia didn't hack the DNC insider breach and U.S. intel supported Russia breach claim, what does that tell you? Well, I'm going to pause right there. That tells you that our intelligence community is as corrupt as the DNC was, who was covering up their crimes of not only, basically undermining the will of the American people at large by manipulating things behind the scenes, but then also covering it up and then putting in this Russia hoax insurance policy so that they would never have to face criminal accountability for their crimes. So I don't know. What does it tell you? That's what it tells me. It says the U.S. government under POTUS went through still ongoing a major remove replace operation. Traders everywhere. We're still having people resign every day. We have people who are federal judges who are resigning. We have people who are resigning from major corporations, resigning from Congress. It's an ongoing process, and we're draining the swamp. It says drain the swamp has real meaning. Mueller impeachment all meant to slow, delay, prevent the exposure and prosecution of their crimes. Will new articles of impeachment be continually drafted in an effort to hold as ammunition to prevent Senate hearings regarding Democrat Party corruption? Moves and countermoves, the silent war continues. Q. So, look, everything Q lays out here is exactly what we're up against on a broad scale. It's a part of their deception tactics. It's a part of their slow delay, prevent from their own prosecution and investigations and inquiries. I mean, think about it. Why is Nancy Pelosi holding the articles of impeachment? We've talked about this. Because it's a piece of her ammunition, so that as soon as the Senate starts investigating the crimes of all these corrupt politicians and the corrupt people inside of our intelligence community, DOJ, FBI, you name it, and the Obama administration, the Hussein administration, they can just say, oh, well, now we're going to give you the articles of impeachment. Now we need a year-long trial that'll keep us from ever getting to the truth about what these criminals did to our country. I'm so sick of it. I mean, me as an American citizen, I wake up every morning and I think, how much more terrible and depraved will we go with these Democrats, these people who should be in jail, sitting in Congress telling me about how evil I am. Then the media, you turn on, everyone's a white supremacist who supports President Trump. And then you go into Google and YouTube, you can't even do a search. You try to post a video on YouTube, they automatically, push it down and suppress it. I mean, and then you try to post on Twitter and they delete your tweets or they throw you in Twitter jail. At what point do the American people wake up and realize that there is an ongoing silent war behind the scenes with these big tech fascist elites who are just sick and they have these disgusting incestuous relationships with one another? And then you have the corrupt leftist politicians who really are some of the biggest criminals I've ever seen in my life. And it completely astonishes me every day that these people aren't picked up by the FBI or somebody and thrown in jail, right, for their crimes against this country. Then you have the fake news lying every day, pushing the narrative that we're all white supremacists and anyone who supports President Trump is evil, when that couldn't be further from the truth. And it's just a daily onslaught from these corrupt criminals, and it makes me disgusted and sick. And I just don't know where this heads. I really don't. But I pray every day and I put my faith in the Lord. Now, a few more stories before we go. President Trump tweeting out this tweet to Nancy Pelosi saying, "Any answers, Nancy?" Remember this post that was on the Q boards the other day talking about Nancy Pelosi and her son Paul Pelosi, who apparently, according to new reports, was receiving $180,000 a year from, you guessed it, a company based out of Ukraine. So what's up with Ukraine? Why are all the Democrats' kids going to Ukraine and getting these multi, six-figure, seven-figure deals for doing what? For being there, it's all nepotism. It's all corruption. It is them getting payoffs on the back end, right? As Rudy Giuliani pointed out, over $5.something billion in Ukraine was misspent or lost, basically, or spent in a corrupt manner, according to Ukraine's own internal investigations, and that 80% of that money came for the United States. That was U.S. aid to the United States that was given under, you guessed it, the Obama administration. Yet you have Hunter Biden working in Ukraine and Paul Pelosi working in Ukraine, but nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Not to mention the fact that Pelosi still won't release the transcripts from the secret shift basement meetings that probably most certainly exonerate President Trump and indict the whistleblower of perjury, Eric CIA Morella. I can't say his name because the speech-to-text algorithms in this fascist Orwellian nightmare of YouTube that I live in every day will come and they will actually pick up on me saying this person's name and they will actually remove my video. I mean, I can't make this up. The free press has just gone out the window in this country because we're letting these big tech fascists and these extreme leftist indoctrination machines in the mainstream media take over what should be the American people's right to have a free and open dialogue and conversation about what's happening in this world. But, that'd be asking too much, right? Not to mention we are winning because all of the activist immigration judges are quitting now because they're frustrated at President Trump's administration's crackdown on illegals in our country. Well, good riddance. I hope they all resign so they can all be replaced by better judges who will actually follow the Constitution and follow the rule of law in this country instead of just, exercising their judicial activism every day and showing that they have a complete and true disdain for the American system that gave them all of the, benefits that they have to this day. So it's disgusting, anti-American, and I'm just sick of it. But with that being said, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching. A few more things. Watch these last videos, share them on your social media. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. Also, don't forget to go down to the link in the description and download the Brave browser for free today. If you guys haven't tried this yet, it's an internet browser. It's just like Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, whatever you're using, but it's better. It'll block the ads. It'll make your internet browsing experience that much better. And if you do it using the link in the description, you download it and install it and run it on your computer, they'll make a contribution to Just Informed Talk, the channel, which helps me out. And it's a win-win situation because it's free for you and it helps me out big time. So I really appreciate it. Also, I'm over here on Twitter at JustinformedU. You can find me over on Twitter at JustinformedU. Also, I have justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. And you can come find me over here on bitshoot.com/justinformedtalk. Give me a subscribe over here, one of the backup channels I'm trying to build up just in case. You never know what's going to happen. Also, I'm over here on Patreon, patreon.com, which is the crowdfunding website for you guys to come and support the channel. It's patreon.com/justinformedtalk. Links to everything we've talked about here will be in the description. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. And look, you guys keep this channel alive because they've done everything they can to put it out of business. I can tell you that. And that's why I also have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, links to everything, like I said, will be in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today's message, I think, is for all of us, but I think in most particular, I want to point this to all the people that we talk about here on this channel, all of the corrupt, evil people. A lot of these people worship Satan, as Q has said. you'd be surprised to find out those you trust the most, right, who or you're supposed to trust the most, are the ones who end up being the most evil. And there's open churches of Satan, and there's Luciferians, and these people worship evil, and they really think evil is how they get power, and they bask in it, and it's disgusting. But I remind myself every day how to be a Christian. I mean, could you imagine? We're all in this boat where we get attacked every single day, but we continually live in a better way. We come and we rise above it, and we put our lives to God. That's what I do, and I know that's what you guys out there do. And that's why I want to share this verse for specifically those listening who may disagree with everything that we've covered here on the channel. And not just those who disagree, I should say, but more overly those who embrace the darkness that we cover on a daily basis and try to expose here. But this is out of the book of 1 Peter. It's from chapter 3. It's talking about doing no evil. And this is chapter 3, verse 8 through 12. It says, "Now finally, all of you should be like-minded and sympathetic, should love believers, and be compassionate and humble, not paying back evil for evil or insult for insult, but on the contrary, giving a blessing, since you are called for this, so that you can inherit a blessing. For the one who wants to love life and to see good days must keep his tongue from evil, and his lips from speaking deceit. And he must turn away from evil and do good. He must seek peace and pursue it, because the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their request. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil." And look, that's what I have to remind myself. It's the toughest thing ever, just to turn the other cheek and to do everything you can to live a Christ-like life, and to be kind when people are treating you terribly. I mean, as the Bible also says, there's a time for peace, and there's a time for war, and there's a time for everything. But I can tell you right now that I believe in exactly what it says there. We should do no evil. We should try to live a good life, because then we can be embraced fully by God. I mean, and these evil people that we talk about on a regular basis just have no concept of that. So I hope that this message somehow reaches them, and I hope that it speaks to your hearts out there as it does to mine, because it just reminds me of how to be a good Christian every day, and how to really take this in stride and understand that ultimately they're the ones who are going to suffer in the end. They're the ones, they may have all the power and they may have all the glory here on in this earth, in this period of time where they're here, their mortal existence, but I can guarantee you that in the next life they will suffer a great judgment from our Lord and Savior, and I leave that to him. And I thank you guys for coming here and watching, and I pray that you guys all find it in your hearts to practice the same principles of being kind to others and doing unto all of those in the world as you would want done unto yourself. So that's my message to you. I want to say thank you for watching this video. Again, come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.